The lesson today is titled, No Rest for the Wicked.
Oh my. No wonder we're tired.
It says, Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in their power of their hand. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away, so they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. Here, give a little bit about background. Micah was a prophet, and God was prophesying to him to tell his people to turn their ways. Their ways were evil. They were corrupt. Micah was telling here that, they were so corrupt and so mean that they would lay in bed at night thinking of ways of how to make money, of how to do somebody else wrong, to get one up on somebody, and then they wake up and put that plan in action. And you think today, people within power, they probably do the same thing today, that has that power to manipulate a poor man. And we'll start, and this is in verse 3. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, Behold, against this family do I devise an evil, from which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall ye go haughtily, for this time is evil. In that day shall one take up a parable against you, and lament with a doleful lamentation, and say, We be utterly spoiled. He hath changed the portion of my people. How hath he removed it from me? Turning away, he hath divided our fields. Now, a lament or a lamentation, it's a passionate expression of grief, often in music, poetry, or song. It's a sad song. It's a sad poem. Micah was telling them that there's going to be a day when you're going to be so sad that you're going to have these lamentations, and that the surrounding people around is going to make up a song over your suffering. Now, this was God's people. This was it. This was Judah, His chosen. This was the land that He gave them from the time that Moses brought them over the river of Jordan and gave them this land. It was their promised land. And here but there was promises that God told them, you obey me, follow me, worship me, and this is yours. You don't, exile. I'll take it away from you. And Micah, he was telling Micah that it's going to get so bad that people around you is going to sing sad songs about you. Write sad things about you. And that you will be exiled. He says, Therefore thou shalt have none that shall cast a cord by lot in the congregation of the Lord. When some people may not know what casting cords or lots, but it was a form of trusting God. You put your whole faith on what God wanted for you. And the methods that was used in the Old Testament by the Christian disciples, this was prior to Pentecost, to determine the will of God. They would have stones or cords, and on these stones they'd have markings. And it was sort of like rolling the die. They'd shake them, they'd throw them out, and they'd trust in God. And God would tell them what He wanted them to do. We find that there's several incidences in the Bible that they casted lots. One was the selection of the scapegoat, tribal inheritance in the Promised Land, families that had to be relocated to give proper population. If there was too many people in one area, they would cast lots and move those certain people to distribute the population more evenly, because there wasn't enough food for everybody, so they had to move. So they would cast lots. So it was the roll of the die, but it wasn't luck.
No.
It was their faith in
Come
God.
on, Toby, you're right.
It was God telling them what to do. Now, after Pentecost, after Jesus sent the Comforter, that is our communication. We don't have to roll the die. We don't have to do this to see what God wants. God will speak to you
Come on, Toby.
if you go and search for Him. And that's what the people here in Israel, they were getting further and further away from God.
Amen.
It said another one was it was the determination of offender. If you committed a crime, well, they would cast a lot, and they'd ask God what to do with it. And then when Jesus was at the cross, they were casting lots for his robe.
You're right, Toby.
So that gives you a sense of what it was, what casting lots was. And when they casted these lots, when the 12 tribes of Israel came in, they casted lots. God told them, I want this tribe to get this much land and in this location. I want this. But it all was founded on trusting God. It wasn't luck, but it was God. This is, prophesy ye not. Say they to them that prophesy, they shall not prophesy to them, that they shall not take shame. Micah was prophesying from God. And you had a lot of other false prophets out there that was telling them it was all right. Micah his prophecy was gloom and doom. They didn't want to hear that. People don't want to hear the gloom and doom. But he was telling that if you don't change your ways, God's going to move, and He's going to exile. He's going to send tribulation. He's going to pour judgment down on Israel and Judah.
You're right, Toby.
But they didn't want to hear that. They wanted to hear the prophets that were saying everything's all right. We're God's chosen people, and life is good. They were manipulating sin to where it was all right. They was whitewashing stuff to where that made them feel good. Now, and then you take a lot of preachers today. You can go find churches that'll make you feel really good.
Oh, yeah.
But as soon as you start preaching to them and tell them what's wrong and that you need to change, then they're out of there. People wants to come to church and get their ears tickled and feel happy, when we're in a time where the harvest time is at near, or we are in it, and we need to be preaching the gospel.
Amen.
We need to be telling them that they are sinners and that they need saved. I mean, we don't have to do it in a demeaning way or a hateful way or try to tell them, you're sinners, you're going to hell. But they want to say life is good. They want to say, their main topics is if you need financial help, if you need spiritual help, if you need uplifting, emotional. It's all about us. It's not about us. It's about us getting saved to meet Him.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a preaching that was saying, how can I help you? You help me, give your offering to me, and I'll help you make your life better, to make you more successful, more richer, more in tune with your family. When we need to put all our trust in God, and all these things will be handed to us. They reverse it to where they're making money. And that's not what God wants. He wants us to spread the gospel and tell them that there's a better way.
Yes, amen.
It says, O thou that are named the house of Jacob. He's being specific here. These are Jacob's descendants.
Amen.
He said, is the Spirit of the Lord straitened? Are these his doings? Do not my words do good to him that walketh uprightly? He's telling you walk upright. You obey the Spirit. You keep my commandments. And that's when I'll bless you. That's what I want the whole Israel to do. He said, aren't you Jacob's descendants? This is the way you should be walking. He says, even of late my people is risen up as an enemy. You pull off the robe with the garment from them that pass by securely, as men averse from war. God was in a frame of mind, said, I don't know you no more. You're sinning so bad that you're not my children that I raised. You're not the same children that I brought out of Egypt and established here. I know we have all, we've got children or friends and things have happened and you're thinking, did I raise this kid? What in the world's going on with you? And that's the way God was feeling with the whole tribe of Judah. He said, I've taught you better. I've gave you specific instructions on what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. And you can't keep it because of your self-pleasures and the need to be more successful, for money, to take advantage of the poor. And he said, I don't know you. If I don't know you, then you're my enemy. They would go by and steal the robe. As they talk here, there's like two definitions that could come, that they would literally take the robes off maybe a stranger that was walking through the city of Judah. Or it could be the fact that if you was pretty poor, you could take your robe off, as we explained in other lessons, turn it in to get maybe some kind of money to help you out that day, and then go pick your robe up that evening. Because God said, don't let any man go without his robe at night. So they more or less there's two ways to look at it, but they take the coat off a man's back. It says, the women of my people have ye cast out from their pleasant houses. From their children have you taken away my glory forever. They would take widows' houses. They knew that without a man that they couldn't survive. It was hard. God always, from the very beginning, that if you had a widowed woman, that his brother would take care of them and that family, and she would be taken care of. You could see how the parts of his laws and regulations was breaking down because they let him go. They let him go to where a woman couldn't work. She had no say in society. She was a woman. She couldn't go and besides being maybe a slave maid or working for somebody else's, cleaning their houses or something, she couldn't go and bargain for cattle or goats or try to become a business because she was a woman. So if you lost your husband, you had no income unless you had a son that could take care of you. The son was supposed, and then if he couldn't, then your husband's brother was supposed to. So when things started breaking down, she had nothing, and they'd let him have nothing so they could take it off. They would evict the widow, take her house, and sell it. They'd make a profit on it. They were making money off the widows, and God had a special plan from the very beginning. You weren't supposed to do that. You're supposed to take care of your own. Then at the end of this verse, he said, the children have you taken away from my glory forever. Well, they would put the kids in orphanage or sell them into slave. And they'd be distributed somewhere else. And God said, I'm losing them forever because they're going to another nation. They're going to another doctrine. They'll never hear my word. They won't be taught my ways from Israel on down. So it was breaking up God's word. You take a child and you raise him up in church, but if you would send him off to another country, to a foreign land, eventually, without hearing the word, he's lost.
Come on, Toby.
And God's saying, I'm losing him forever. And he didn't want that for his people. He says, arise ye and depart from this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you, even with the sword destruction. See, Canaan land, the land that God promised him, was supposed to be a land of rest. Because when Moses, before he crossed the Jordan River, River of Jordan, he said, this isn't, we're getting ready to cross the Jordan. That's going to be your rest. This was supposed to be God's gift to them, providing they would be obedient. Now Micah's telling them that for anybody that will listen, this ain't your rest no more. That God was going to send destruction. He was giving anybody that could a chance to get out right now. Don't witness this destruction, because it's going to happen. He said, if a man walking in the Spirit and falsehood do lie, saying, I will prophesy unto thee of wine and of strong drink, he shall even be the prophet of this people. So, they were following the false prophets because it was good. It was, we are God's people. He's going to bless us. He's not going to do nothing. He's going to take care of us. Here you have Micah, on the other hand, saying that you're disobedient, you're not doing God's will, and he's going to judge you. That same judgment he applies to us.
Amen.
If we don't be obedient to him, there's judgments that he's going to set for us. He's a just and good God.
Amen.
And he loves us.
Amen.
But he wants us to do his bidding. We are to spread this gospel and be Christ-like every day.
Amen.
You know, this lesson, before I looked at the head like 2 weeks ago, and I said, no rest for the wicked. And I hadn't started reading it, and for about a week, I would already put things in my head. Before I even started reading, I thought, I got this lesson. Then I started reading it, and I said, well, look, I'm far from what this lesson is. But I'm going to give you what God's given me. Because I think, to me, that's what I should have. I was going to hit both sides. But, when I'm delivering, I deliver to people that's working. And I've used this, no rest for the wicked. Because, you're working, you're sweating, and they'll say, buddy, and I'll say, well, I know for the wicked. And they'll say, buddy, I heard that. And, that's for sure. Well, there is no rest for the wicked. And I'm not talking, let's just say, instead of saying wicked, I'm not saying sin has no hierarchy. If you do not accept Jesus, you are just as much a sinner as who's killed a man. There's no levels of sin when it comes to making it to heaven. Sin is sin.
You're right.
God can't look upon it and will not look upon it. But when we think of no rest for the wicked, let's just say no rest for the sinner. When I walked away from God, mentally there was no rest for me. Because I was running from Him.
Amen.
I knew where I should have been, but I wasn't there. I knew when troubles arrived, I couldn't take it to the Lord.
Amen.
I knew when things happened to me, you think, is God doing this? I knew God ain't doing this to say, toward me for punishment, but he's letting things happen that Satan's bringing up on me to maybe lean on him, to maybe look onto him and give me a reason to say, I can't go to him because he doesn't know me. And I think to myself, no rest for the wicked. As a sinner, if you've never given your heart to God, you've never experienced the peace, the joy,
Amen.
and the
Amen.
love.
Amen.
The
Bless you,
only
Toby.
thing you've experienced is what the devil's dished out to you.
Amen. You're right.
Things that you might fight all your life. There's some people that might be sexually abused all their life. They've never had experience good in their life. God can take it away.
Amen.
Some of us maybe have had a loss or death and cannot let it go.
You're right.
So, a lot of us wants to blame God. Who are we to blame God for anything?
You're right.
He's God.
Amen.
He's the giver of everything that is good.
Amen, man.
The devil is he's on this earth to seek, to kill, and destroy, and to separate you from God, all possible. Whether it be guilt, whether it be sorrow, whether it be pain. He can make you so bitter and so mad at somebody else that you cannot see God because you've got so much hate in your heart.
Amen.
There is no rest for the wicked.
Bless you, Toby.
Because you're always, the devil is always putting something in your head to say, I'm not giving it to God. I'm not giving it to Jesus. I'm not letting him have it because there is no rest. And if you haven't experienced, I'm telling you, Jesus can give you the rest.
Amen.
I know my wife has a friend, she lost her, she's 15, I think she would have been 16, lost her daughter in a car accident. It's been, I think, a year. And I'm telling you, she gets on Facebook and you think it happened yesterday. The poor thing, it's still raw.
Can't imagine.
It may never, I couldn't imagine losing one of my children. But it's still, she puts her pictures up, she says she's a Christian. I don't know, I can't vouch for her. But, there's a lot of hurt.
Yeah. Toby, I couldn't imagine that. But when you said that, I remember Truman. He's testified a couple of times. He lost a daughter, young. And he said God gave it, daughter, to him to enjoy for a while. He said when he took her back, you got to let her go.
Mm-hmm.
That is God's child. And she's in a better place. Truman, I can't imagine him, but Truman believes that. I've heard him talk about it, been there himself. He said, God just give me a child for a little while. And it's God's child. And he took it back. And Truman believes that. And that's what you got to believe. If something happens. Now, I ain't saying that's easy. That'd be hard. But just listen to Truman say that. And know he believes that, Bob. That a child belongs to God. He just let you have it for a little while. And you got to believe that. You got to face that fact.
Some folks teaches and preaches that when we're born, I was talking about this predestination. There's some teaches predestination. God has got his arms open wide and the doors is open, saying, whosoever will, let him come and take of the water of life freely. Some folks teaches and preaches and they cannot back it up by the Word of God. First of all, the Word of God says that God is not a respecter of persons.
You're right.
Now, if God predestined us, say for instance, he's going to let Bobby live 75 years, and he's going to let Lee live 85 years. God would be a respecter of person if he allowed Lee to live 10 years longer than Bobby.
Come on, preacher.
Now, what are you saying? I'm saying is, it is life. Listen, it's life. Folks get cancer. Some folks live long. Some folks live short lives. It's the terrible thing of life. That's life in general. That's why he is preparing a place where there'll be no sickness, where there'll be no pain, where there'll be no death. It's not that, I've heard people, and it just broke my heart. Preachers would say, God took them. No. The Bible said every good and every perfect gift cometh from the Father. God, life, the black side of this life is what separates us, is what causes pain. There was a lady one time, my mother-in-law fell and broke her arm. One of her Christian sisters said, "It's sin in your life." She said, "What?" She said, "God calls you." I said, "That's stupidity."
Yeah, that is.
My mother-in-law fell and broke her arm because she had a pair of flip-flops on a muddy bank. But yet God broke her arm. Not so. Most of the times when I've, mashed a finger, I've seen it. People cuss God.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
If I mash my finger today, you ought to see me, the way I shake trying to drive a nail. If there's anybody around, I get somebody else to drive it. I value my fingers. Toby, he's a loving God.
Amen.
Go ahead, brother.
We'll take our situations and our relationships and things that happens to us, and we put it in our mind, and we blame God, or we hinder it from God talking to us. And we keep dwelling on it and feeding off of it to where there is no joy. Now you think about all the times of your life, we have these little bits of joy in our life, but a lot of time it's the struggles. And to me, I wouldn't want to struggle in this world without being able to talk to the Father.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't imagine going through the world and things that's personally happened to me. I can be so mad going through by the time I make it home, God has taken it away. No telling what I would have done.
Toby, and a lot of times, I don't mean to keep interrupting you, but I'll use you as an example. I never will forget that Wednesday night that your daddy got covered up in the mines. You was madder than a devil that night. It's a good thing that there wasn't no officials there from the coal mines. They'd have got a whooping, wouldn't they? Toby was, he was upset. That was his daddy. His daddy thought he was going to die. Toby was irate. That's natural. That's his daddy. He loves him. But after Toby got a grip on himself and got settled down, he realized, that happens. We need to be ready when that happens.
Amen.
Yep.
But I can keep that in my mind and dwell on that and blame
Amen,
somebody else instead of going to God and letting Him take it.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
Bless you, Toby.
That's the point I'm trying to get. As a sinner, we have no rest. There's always something in our mind that the devil's going to put to hinder us from getting close to God.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's what we need to focus on. And I ask you, sinner friend, if you're unsaved, don't let the devil keep putting things in your mind and holding what God has given since the beginning of time. And that's His love.
Amen, Toby.
If you want rest, if you want peace, you want love, He's there to give it to you.
Bless your heart, brother. Bless your heart. Good job.